And scene. Hello. And welcome back to Girl, Everything's Fine.
Another week. I feel like very disorganized right now. I'm okay. Okay.
Deep breaths.
I can't. This weekend took me out. I'm supposed to go back today.
To that festival? Are you going?
I'm supposed to.
She went to Arc?
No.
No.
I went to... No, ARC's going on.
Okay.
I went to North Coast. It's in Bridgeview? Question mark.
No idea where that is.
It's west.
Okay.
Whatever that means.
Yes.
I will say, I was not annoyed. Normally, there's too many fucking people. I'm annoyed. People are annoying.
Yeah.
Everyone's on top of me. Like, I wasn't
Too
bothered.
close quarters.
Yeah. Like, and I don't know if it's just because it was outside the city, but like, it was so, I was like standing there like, I'm not bothered at all. And I had plenty of space. People weren't fucking on top of me.
I love that.
God. But yeah,
We went to Oasis on Thursday, and we were not in general
I know
admission.
a lot of people that went to Oasis.
I knew 2 songs.
Everyone loves Wonderwall.
Literally, that was the second to last song, and I was like, and my sister-in-law Anna
Champagne
was
Supernova?
like, that was the last one.
Yeah.
My sister-in-law was like, can we go now? And I was like, no, I know the last 2 songs, so we have to stay. But in the general admission, they were like sardines, and I was like, that actually looks like my worst nightmare.
Yeah, like I can't have anybody step on me. And the thing about VIP at these festivals...
Were you VIP?
No, which was fine. Well, I could have been. My friend was there, and he texted me. You know him.
Yeah.
Former person that we
Got you.
know from our past life. But he was like, I got 2 extra. And I was like, well, you got to find a third because there's 3 of us. And he was like, you could do the whole switcheroo with the wristbands. And I was like, I'm not in the right mental state to be doing any of that right now. But yeah, I don't know. It was a nice vibe. We had plenty of space. It was a good time. I was vibing out, I needed that so bad.
Yeah.
At one point, I was just like in my own world, like, I'm so happy right now. Like, it was great. But then I came home and it was late. So it ended at midnight. Thomas was picking us up. At 10:45, Layla was like, I'm good. And I was like, no, same. But, Marlon was like doing his thing. So we were
Marlon's
like, okay.
I need to be here longer.
We'll hang. And then she was like, tell him to leave at 11. So I was like, can you leave at 11? And then at like 11:15, I turned to Marlon. I was like, he'll be here in 15. And he was like, perfect. I was like, okay, great. But I got home and I was so wired just from like the illicit substances I was using and like whatever that I was like, I have to go to sleep. So I have like sleep gummies. So I asked Thomas, I was like, should I take this gummy? Like the whole thing? And he was like, I think so. And I was like, well, all right, what's the worst and then I looked at him, I said, what's the worst that could happen? We're here in our home,
Yeah, like I'll just go to sleep.
And then my alarm went off at 7 a.m. Oh, because I also needed to make my ride for yesterday as well.
See, rookie mistake, like just use an old one.
I said I can't, oh my God, sometimes I can't repeat a playlist, I just can't do it. But I remade so I'm sitting here on this couch on my computer, Thomas is asleep, I'm making my ride, and all of a sudden I'm like looking around and I'm like, I think I'm getting more high as I'm just sitting here. Like I think my gummies started hitting like in the middle of the night. And I went to my class, I had my sunglasses on for the first 15 minutes.
Like, it's just so bright here.
I was like, oh my God. Some girl was like, are you all right? And I was like, I shouldn't be here. She's like, I'm really glad you are here. And I was like, I'm not.
Yeah. No.
So yeah, I taught my class on drugs and then I came home.
And did you pass the fuck out?
I came home, I took a shower, we ate something. I took a nap at like 3, so it took me a while to like, whatever.
Relax.
I closed my eyes for like 60 minutes and then I was like, all right, I'm back. And I thought I was back when I woke up today and I'm like,
same.
No.
I had, Wednesday night was my birthday. We went to like a beautiful.
Happy belated.
Thank you. We had like a great dinner at Gibson's Italia, but like I had 2 martinis. And I said the first one was really dirty, and so it was really salty, and I was like, I really don't want to wake up, but I was like, I don't want to wake up super puffy, so I was like, can you make it just slightly less dirty? I swear to God, they just poured the vodka in and we're like, here you go. So the second one, I was like, whoa, baby.
Yeah.
So that was Wednesday night. I woke up Thursday to teach my class, and I was like, I think I'm gonna die in this class. Then Thursday night, what did we have? We went to Oasis. Oasis ended at 11, and at Soldier Field, it's like not easy to get out of. There were like double the amount of people for a Bears game.
Yep.
So we did not get home until 1 a.m.
Yep.
So that was 2 like rough nights. And then Friday night, we did this sushi and tequila tasting, and our reservation was at 8. We didn't get seated till 8:30, and I kid you not, it was a 4-hour tasting that got done at 12:30.
So what is sushi and tequila? Whose idea was it to put fish with tequila?
Okay, so I'm telling you, I actually have a reel like teed up of this. Like it was
Phenomenal.
It's an unthought of pairing that actually paired so well.
Really?
So it's this guy who owns some restaurants in Highwood started this company. He married I think he said a Mexican Catholic woman whose family like has access to like, you know, like Jalisco and tequila and like whatever. And so he's like, we went down there and basically a lot of the tequilas that are out there have a ton of like sugar and random shit. And like, that's why you wake up the next morning and you're like, I feel like I want to die. It's literally like tequila. It's like agave, whatever, like as basic as you can, no additives, nothing. He actually said Patron is additive free, and that's like a good one to drink. But like all the other ones have like all this shit in it, and you're gonna wake up and be like, I literally want to die.
Yeah.
We had like you had a Blanco, Añejo, a Reposado that paired with like some dishes, and they paired with like multiple dishes. It wasn't just like it was 20 courses. They weren't like, here's 20 drinks. And then you'd have like some of your Blanco and they'd add some bitters to it to like bring out other notes that like complemented the fish. And then they had it was at CH Distillery, and then they had like some of their bartenders and like beverage people make cocktails that like went with it. It honestly paired really well. It was pretty crazy. I didn't get like wasted or anything, but I woke up in the morning and I was like, I'm tired because I went to bed at 1.
Yeah.
But I'm not hungover. And so I was like, you could tell the difference in the tequila. And I like that it's like a small business. I'm hoping for them to have success, whatever. And then last night, this is like 5 days in a row now. Last night,
it's too many.
We went to Lincolnwood, which is like a little bit further some direction, and we did mini golf and ice cream with like my cousin and her husband, and it was so fun. Like I
love mini golf.
I fucking hit 2 hole-in-ones. I was like, nice. Really good. And I was the only one out of the 4 of us who hit a hole-in-one. But I am fucking tired. And it's not like last night. I think I went to bed at like 11 and I woke up this morning at 9.
Yeah, same.
But
I mean, we went to bed at like 10:30 or something, and I was up at up at like 8. So
this Diet Coke is going to save my life.
I was trying to I was like, I'm not going to have a Celsius today. I'm just getting a turmeric ginger latte, yada, yada, yada. About an hour ago, my fucking head was rocking, and I was like, I need the caffeine. I need it.
No, I haven't had coffee today.
Which is a terrible place to be in, and I really, once you start getting the caffeine headaches, you should really kick it, but I can't.
It's a problem for another day.
Today's not going to be the fucking day, yeah. So, anywho.
Yeah.
We're tired, but we're here.
We are here. Yeah. That's the thing and I think today when we were thinking about like, what should we talk about on the podcast today? We kind of talked through like how we put this all together. And I think like what's in it for the future too, like how we together, how our partnership works and all of that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are seeing one big partnership right now on social media that just separated was Sweats in the City. They just had the 2 of them, not like a bad fallout or anything, but like you could kind of tell on social media that like this was happening. I don't know if you like follow them
a little bit, yeah.
But it's 2 girls. I still believe they are close friends, and I think Elizabeth just wanted to really focus on her podcast, and Dale was like, she also has a podcast, but also was like, you could tell Dale seems like the like best friend of like, you're a millennial and you get all the millennial shit that like we went through, So Dale is overseeing Sweats in the City, and Elizabeth is just focusing on her podcast more. And they just recently separated, but one of the things that I think is so interesting is when you do enter a partnership, like it's not just you, there's other people in it that you have to now think about, like who's doing what are we doing, how do we plan, what's in it for the future. And it's funny because Taylor and I both have like different strengths in different ways. Like I'm so great at putting together a reel, and she's like, I'm great at just talking to the camera because I can't put together a reel.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like,
and just like being in line with like being, you got that there? Yeah. Being in line with being transparent and like real and all this stuff, like I think it just is. I've had questions from people be like, we should sit down one day and talk about like how you got the podcast going, because I'm interested in like doing some of that stuff. So like we were kind of just like, should we talk about this, like how we kind of started and put it together, and like how we fucking messed up, and like how we've recovered, and how we're actually like 30 some odd episodes in and still working on like what our flow is.
Yeah,
sometimes.
and also like the fact that like I think very realistically with budget, just like, we're not bringing in bank yet for the podcast. And so it's like, we also see and admire people who go into podcast studios and they do everything, but like there is we're real, and this is us on a couch in Taylor's home, and we invite people into our homes, not only on the podcast, but also if they're a guest here, and really being realistic about like what that expectation is before, you know, obviously as we become millionaires from this, we don't laugh.
We'll have staff.
Yeah. Thomas, our assistant today, cleaned the couch for us.
Yeah, he did. He was vacuuming the couch. He's like, I got to spiff up the couch. But yeah, it just, I don't know. It's a lot. I don't think we realized even how much was going to have to go into it kind of when we started. And I think that, you know, we talk a lot about balancing like all the things that have to go on, and we've had to have some like real conversations ourselves being like, we're not on top of this right now.
No.
You know, like
it's really easy to think you get in front of a camera and you start talking and that's it. But it's like you get in front of the camera, you talk, you've got to plan out like, what are you talking about today? Because sometimes you can get on and just like start talking and it's a great episode. And other times you can go on and be like, we just blabbed about like nothing.
And it wasn't like, not that it wasn't coherent, but it didn't flow. And it just was like, which it's okay once in a while to do that. But at the same time, I think we want purpose to.
Well, and also I think like if we backtrack to like day one of Taylor and I being like, okay, maybe we should do this podcast. We bonded on having eating disorders, being anxious, like
having
all of our
family
problem
drama.
areas. Yeah. And it's like, we actually like can't just talk about that because we're more than that. Mm-hmm. But we
have she just threw up in her mouth. We have non-traumatic qualities as well. That's fine. We're going to leave that in.
No, for sure.
No, for sure. Yeah, we're gonna leave that in.
Diet Coke just like really makes me burpy.
Really gets ya. Yeah. Fucking love a DC.
Anyway, but I think that like we're more than just like our trauma, you know, like we've got other things. So I think let's start with how we came up with like Girl, Everything's Fine, and how we kind of plan from there.
Yeah. So Jordan and I were always wanted to collab something. Like we knew that. Like we were like, maybe we have like a fitness collab or like something. Like once we started like becoming friends, we always wanted to do something. And then I had moved into a building that just incidentally had like a free podcast space with all the equipment. So I was like, how hard could this be? Like, you know, like let's just do it. And so that came with a lot of like, we had several meetings and several like brain dumps and like, I mean, we sat down for probably an hour and just picked out like colors and was like, is this color scheme going to work? Do we like this to be like our brand? Like that was a whole meeting in and of itself. And then we went through names like, I don't even know.
Picking a name is so hard because then also you come up with like a name and then you look and you're like, wait, they already have that.
Yeah, or it just was like...
Because I think we were talking about how like everybody just says like, we're fine.
Yeah.
But like you're never really fucking fine because everything is a mess. So we looked at Everything's Fine and like someone had that, which is really funny because the thing I sent you yesterday, Saul Volcano from Practical Jokers is hosting a like stand-up series that's like the Everything's Fine tour.
Yeah.
So like everybody knows that. And so we were like, we knew that, you know, we do have some male listeners, but we really knew that like the girls can feel this and relate to it.
Yeah.
And so we were like, all right, Girl, Everything's Fine. I think like it'd be funny to look back at like all the edits to our sheet.
Oh my God, we edited so much. Like it was just like you would get something, but it wouldn't land like the way that you wanted it to. And I was like, but I can't figure out how to tweak it. And again, like I've said this a million times before, like I'm not a creative like that.
Yeah.
That is really where I struggle is like tapping into like my creative brain. So then it's like the two of us are trying to contribute and I'm like, I don't even know. Like I couldn't fucking tell you.
I learned like Canva, graphic design, all that like as a basic bitch moment. Like I can use it very basic, but like coming up with all of that. And again, this is where it's like we're gritty. We're not at a point where we want to spend a gajillion dollars until we're like I even reached out to some TikTokers and I was like, hey, like, would you want to do a design? I did buy like a $9 Etsy thing, and we were like, I hate this.
Yeah, we sent it back to her so many times. I was like, hate it.
So we were like, all right, fuck it. We're just gonna leave it where it's at.
And I hated everyone more. Like, it just wasn't.
I was like, all right, we're just gonna like leave it where it's at right now, and we'll figure that out for like season 3 maybe.
Yeah, and then we needed branding. Like, we needed social media images, and we didn't have any of these images. So like, we have a lot of photos now that have been shot at a photo shoot, and that was done by the two of us, and Demetra, who came on the podcast as well, has shot all of our images. So again, like, the whole thing has been amateur hour that we've just tried to make work. And like, even at those photo shoots, I mean, we probably take 500 some odd photos and walk away with like 19 that we actually like, which is like crazy. And there's a lot that goes into that. Like, especially me, I'm not comfortable. And
I think it's also like it's not just you. So it's you and someone. So you like have to think about like how you're standing next to someone, or
and like
what's the vibe? Like, our vibe is 2 girls on a couch.
Yes. And the most candid shots are the most positioned. Like there's a photo of Jordan and I from like our last shoot where we're sitting on the couch and like I'm simply leaning in and like looking up at the camera, and it looks like I'm just sitting there. But when I tell you my like back is arched, my shoulders are like, retracted,
relax your shoulders,
my chest
this
is
way,
turned, and
lift
it's
up.
like the most uncomfortable way to sit, and then you got to sit there for like, it's just not what you think it is. But so like, that was a struggle too in the beginning. Like, that first round of photos that we shot at a like, where did we shoot? Oh, we shot
house.
Yes,
we
shot
were at my gym, and like in my building, our gym and my couch, which actually were really cute. We ordered a Domino's pizza.
We did.
Bottle of wine, like, and just like kind of like, they actually were really cute photos, but like very much like, how do our feet look with this? How do our hands look? Like, well, how are we pouring this? Are we on the Stairmaster? Like, whatever it was. It was like very much like a positioned photo shoot. And I think too, like, from there we were like, all right, we've got these assets, and we had no idea like, what are we going to do with them?
With anything.
We were more just like, all right, we've got this. We knew we wanted it to be this like real casual, like 2 girls shooting the shit, not filtering anything, because I think a lot of people get on and they're like, I do this and this is my outcome. And it's like, life's not that easy.
No.
Like, you don't just like put effort in and like get what you want out of it.
No.
Like, literally you could put effort in and like nothing happens, and you're like, fucking, this sucks, and life is whatever. And that's what we really wanted to do. And also, like, in the age that we're in, like, we're going through transitions in life, and life is happening, and we've had, you know, things in our lives that have come up, whatever, and we really wanted to share that. So we knew that was like the main purpose, more than the aesthetics of where we were like doing it. And let's be real, we use a ring light as our light.
Yeah,
like,
that was the other thing. Like, you know, we had this equipment, and then like we had to figure out how to work, like, use it. And I don't come from a tech background, and neither does Jordan. So production is literally me and Google. Like, that's how we figure things out. And we don't pay anybody to edit. Like, we do everything on our own, which comes with a lot of issues, because when you don't fucking know what you're doing, and then you decide like, well, we're just gonna edit these things, and you have hiccups. Like, we've had plenty of production hiccups that we've had to like,
oh my God,
kind of make work and figure out at the last minute. And
I remember our first podcast, we didn't test the mics. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And we were like, holy shit, this is such a big moment for us, and the sound is not where we want it to be.
Yeah.
Those episodes have been where we're like, we'll text back and forth, like, should we say something? Should we not say something? Do we just keep it ourselves? Like, or, you know, we used to literally tell people, don't hold the mic too close to you, because like it picks up that sound or whatever.
Yeah.
And so those are things too where you're like, we'll ask Darius and Thomas, like, what do you think? Like, can you hear this? Is it really bad? And they're like, it's not great.
It's not great, yeah.
But it's also like, that's content that we've also worked with other people. If it was just us two, we'd be like, all right, let's figure something out.
Yeah.
But like, a lot of it has been with guests, and that's been really, really hard. And that comes down to me sitting in iMovie, which I'm sure there's a better way to edit this, but like, like, for now, this is what we've got and what we're doing. But like sitting in iMovie, adjusting sound and figuring out like, how do I adjust just this one person's sound? Because my sound is fine, Taylor's sound is fine. It's difficult, I will say. It's like definitely a lot as someone who's not an editor and doesn't know. And then on top of it, it's like we have one camera. You see a lot of these podcasts that have like two cameras and they're searching back and forth at like, and this is like, nope, just one for now. Like, I do think, you know, there's like a 3.0 version that will have two cameras and an editor and whatever, but like, it's not as easy as just like the camera moves to the person who's talking. Like, that would be dizzy.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of tech that we don't have.
Yeah.
Just right now. So it's a lot of us just kind of like making it up as we go.
I think one of the biggest hurdles and challenges that we're still facing is like, we have multiple jobs, me mostly. Like, I have a full-time job. I have 3 different studios I teach at and this podcast. And so it's like, what are the days that we can film? You know, and we also have partners too, which is a whole other thing. And that's, I think, where right now, to be completely transparent, is where we're like, that has to be priority. Like, we need to get our shit together, because we do see, I will say, like, some businesses that are like a little all over the place, and we're like, we don't want that to be our perception of like, we don't have our shit together, or we're reaching out to people but we don't respond, or whatever it is. And so that's like organization. When you're working with a partner too, it's like, when it's just you could turn on your ring light at 8 p.m. and be like, all right, I'm gonna record. But it's like, now it's both of us and we have to figure out, do we want to record at 8 p.m. or is, you know what I mean? Like, that's where I think I would say, more than like the production and whatever, because we've kind of figured that out now. Now it's figuring out, how does this podcast become a priority within all of our other priorities that we have, or all the other things that we do and take care of and whatever, because we are busy. And even more so when we talk about like, we need to make our own TikToks and like show our own personalities. Like, there you go. That's another thing to our to-do list. It's another thing.
Yeah. And I don't think social media it's just a lot, and having to I mean, that is just the way you become known these days, and like having to pump out content all the time. Like, as somebody who's not an influencer and like didn't even start dabbling in like content, if you will, until like the last year or so, it's very time consuming. And I'm sure there's people that have, you know, large social media followings that are like, it's easy, no big deal, like whatever.
It's not even that.
For me, it's just like, I'm like, I just having to think about like, here's the episode we just recorded. What are the take homes from that we want to broadcast or like spotlight on social media, and then edit that appropriately so that it's the right point in the conversation that grabs your attention, that makes you interested, but it's not too much blabbing. It doesn't give the whole story, because I want you to come back and listen to that. But like, it's just like a lot goes into it. And as somebody who's like, that's not their first nature, like it's a lot. And then you sit down at the end of like your workday, like, I don't give a fuck that my workday ends at 3 p.m. When I sit down at the end of a workday, like, I'm like, shit, now I had to like, get on my phone and like dick around. Half the time, honestly, truthfully, like half the time I'm editing videos to put on the internet at 4:30 in the morning, like when I'm getting ready to go to work, or like when I first get to work and have a second of downtime, so that like you have time and it's like first world problems. I totally get it.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
I think it's also like, I don't want to resent like doing something that you love, you know? And so like, when you start to think like, okay, I need to put all this content out, like your day becomes centered around like my get ready. If I did a get ready with me in the morning, and I've done it before, I'm like, my morning routine is not that interesting. Like, it's actually not interesting at all.
No. And that, I know. And it's again, like, you want to be more personable online to like showcase who you are and what your brand is. But like, sometimes I feel like me just getting on TikTok, just fucking yapping about shit, will never do as well as like the super aesthetically pleasing photo of somebody doing a get ready with me. But I'm never going to be the girl that does a fucking get ready with me, because it's just not me. You know,
like the purpose of our whole podcast, you know?
Yeah, right.
You know,
exactly.
like
Which
to
is
that
like,
point.
Yeah. But I look around, and like we were just kind of talking about this last week. Like I just look around at some people who, even like this event that I was at the other night, like I look around and I'm like, you guys can't even fucking enjoy the time you're having because you got to shoot fucking content. And I just like, I don't want that to ever be me.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you create this project that is solely like internet and like content based, and also not transform into this person that you said that you weren't going to be, because you're like, I'm not fucking recording Get Ready With Me's because that's not me as a person, but I also need to put out content that's interesting, but it also needs to reflect back on who I am as the person that's doing this podcast. Like it's such an intricate, like,
I will say I don't think we have that answer yet.
Yeah, no, we
like,
certainly don't.
I think that's one question that's up in the air about like, as we build a story around Girl Everything's Fine, which is us, because it's like right now you can hear what we're talking about, and I do think our podcasts are very interesting, but there's also more to us than like the podcast, but it's also like you gotta promote you to promote the podcast. I don't know. It just
we don't have the answer. We don't have it figured out, down to even like the logistics, like, right, like we switched spaces this past episode and like we know that like when we recorded last week there was a little bit of an echo, and it's like that didn't come through and pick up when we replayed it on the camera, but once you transition it to a computer and like you edit, like you fuck with the sounds, like you have, like we know. And so it's like week to week we're like
learning and adjusting.
Yes.
It's not just like you put the CD in and it starts playing. It's like there's scratches and there's things, and like every single time we have to like figure out how to adjust and what are we doing differently the next time. Yeah. Like before we were recording in a soundproof room. Granted, we'd have people like open up the door and we won't have that. That's a different problem that we had there that we won't have here.
That we don't have, yeah.
But it's, it's just, I think it's different. It's like we have to adjust on the fly. And I think that's something that people don't see behind the scenes. And I think if anyone were to be like, I want to start a podcast, I'd be like, do it. Like, go do it. Just like know that it's not there. There may be out there somewhere a playbook of how to do it, but I don't think the playbook has all of the little bumps and hurdles and things that you're going to have as along the way, because I think every single variation, unless you're at a huge production company and they do things for you.
It's so much different. It's so much different. And that's kind of this perspective that I think that we've been trying to give the whole time. And with that being said too, like we started this as like everything's fine when it's not, and like as you've listened and you go on, like what you can see is that like the guests that we bring on are all like entrepreneurial like people who have created something, whatever that may be, and like tell their story about how they create that something and keep themselves mentally fucking well, or don't, right? So like that's also been a huge play into like what we're doing here. It's like we're also everything is fine, and now we're trying to create something and reflect that back so that it's relatable to you. And it's hard to kind of like hone in on giving a true description of what that looks like when every day we're also like, we're not really sure what the fuck is going on.
I would love to screenshot all of the text messages where we're like, we need to make this a priority. We need to create more structure. We need to get more organized, because we're like, we know we do, but then at the same time, like, how many times are you like, we need more structure, and then life becomes chaotic, or life gets really busy. I said this in a voice note to Taylor. I was like, we're in a busy season of life. She's like, there's always a busy season of life. Like, there's never going to be a season where we're like, I'm not busy. Life is only going to get busier. And it is like, it's almost like getting through the grit and the grind and like those uncomfy kind of situations to get through, to be like, this is the structure, we're sticking to it. It's like a job. Like, you got to show up at 9 and you leave at 5, or you show up at 5 in the morning and leave at 3, whatever job you have. But it's like, if you don't take it seriously, then you're going to continue to just be at where you're at. Mm-hmm. And that's hard to kind of hear, because you're like, I think this comes back to last week's episode where we talked about like manifestation or prayer or whatever. And you're like, you can look and be like, I want to be just like that podcast. Like, I want that success too. But they also didn't just get success because they were like, I'm talking about like something no one's ever heard of. Like, I don't know, maybe scientists, like maybe there's shit that no one's ever heard of. But like, I think we all, in some way, shape, or form, talk about things that like are out there, just having conversations. But unless you start to say like, there's going to be a real shift and a real like this is going to be hard work. It's going to be uncomfortable. We're going to have uncomfortable conversations. We're going to record at times that may not be as ideal as we want them to be, but we're making it a priority. We're doing it so that you can reap success later, to be like, I could record anytime from 9 to 5.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because that's just not the way that it is right now.
Yeah. And I think we've also done a good job of being like, hey, this isn't working. We should have done this or that. I accept responsibility for this, or this was a team effort, or like whatever. And I think that's a hard space for people that are trying to do partnerships of any kind.
Yeah.
Is to be like, hey, we dropped the ball here, or I dropped the ball here, or maybe we could try, you know, focusing on this going forward, like whatever it may be. And we've reworked our system 900 times.
Yeah.
It's been, do we have separate meetings from recording twice a month? Do we do it once a month?
Yeah.
When we sit down, what's on our to-do list? We'll say like, okay, next time we record, we're going to pick the color of the script that we're going to put out on social media, and then we don't do it. And then it's like, so it's not by any means a well-oiled machine.
No. I think too, like, in a partnership, it's being able to be like, hey, this is how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
We need this or this or this or this. And I'm not blaming you. You're not blaming me. It's just we need change, and we need to together take that step. Otherwise, that's where you can get to that point of like, I feel bad, or I feel whatever.
Yeah.
And that's where, like, I think together our commonality of like, we've got one goal. Like that we have the common goal. We're in it. So it's like, unless one of us was like, that's not what I want anymore, then that's a different conversation. But I think we've both been very clear. Like, one of the things I put together, I'm a very big document person, and I put together a document, and one of them was like, in our meetings when we meet, like the last step is like, what's working, what's not working, where do we need to adjust, where, like, how we feeling, like just like a mental health check-in, like, and that could go anywhere from like, life's really hard right now and this is what's going on, to this is what's going on with the podcast and this is what I think.
Yeah. And I mean, we even said like this because that voice note of me being like, hey, like we need some more, like we really need some structure, was just had been this past week.
Yeah.
And I was like, also like full transparency, like I know that we bailed on a whole episode 2 weeks ago because I like mentally couldn't get my shit together. So it's like, it's not perfect, and structure can get you 85-90% of the way, but you still have to like make those adjustments. But again, like when I brought it up to Jordan, like, I don't think that I can record this week because she wasn't like, what the fuck are we going to do? Like, it was very like, yeah, 100%. Like, we'll pick it up.
That's the thing too about me. Obviously I got married, whatever, but it's like, there's going to be those times in life where it's like, it just isn't going to work that way. And that's where you have to figure out, what do we do here?
Yeah.
Like, in hindsight, we looked at the 3 weeks or month that we took off, and we were like, not the greatest for momentum after season 1. We lost a lot of momentum. We lost a lot of that like continualness. And we said like, how can we create content and do this and do that? We didn't do it. Like, let's be like, you know, we didn't. And so it's like, okay, that can't happen again. And there's going to be periods where like things happen, or you got to take 2 weeks or whatever. So how does the other person pick up? How do we create content prior, record multiple I don't know, you know, like those are things. I still don't have the answers to that. So I just brought things up that in my mind, I was like, all right, that's what we can do.
And we tried in the beginning recording like 2 at a time, but like, it just
oh my
didn't.
God. The second one was like,
we were like stroking out. Yeah. Like, it's funny because when people sit here and like, anybody can have a podcast. Like, you just sit down and you talk to your friend and like whatever. But like, after you've already talked for an hour about like with like a structure, and then you go to talk again for an hour, you're like, I don't even know what's coming out of my mouth anymore.
Like, that actually was if you haven't listened to it, it was our holiday episode.
Yeah, it was so funny.
So funny. I like listened to some, I remember we were like, ET phone home.
Yeah.
Like, we were losing our minds.
We were delirious. Yeah, it was a really hard, that was a hard.
It was really funny though.
But again, like, I don't know, we're figuring out as we go. And like, I guess the whole point of us even talking about it today was just like, I feel like we say all the time, like, it's not a sugar-coated experience we're ever trying to give people. And like, I don't ever want to come off like this person who like acts like they have this like thriving entity that's so easy to do and yada yada, because it's fucking not. And the reason that we continue to do it is because we love to do it, and we get great feedback, and we have great people come on, and the people that we've met. And
the conversations too. Like, I feel like we're having real conversations with people, and like, you leave the conversation and you're like, wait, I want to keep talking to you.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, wait, I want to know more. Like, you know, we had Rachel on 2 episodes ago, and after we were texting, and I was like, we didn't even get into any of that. I was like, you've got to come back on.
Yeah.
Because we were like, there's so much more. You know, all of the guests, I go back to like our first guest, our second guest, our third guest, and I'm like, they are all doing such amazing things right now. I'd love to have them back on. Like Carmilla, I think, told Thomas, like, I need to come back on. She's doing amazing things right now too. And it's not only like just about us, but it's about everybody else that we continue to like meet and talk with and hear their stories and how they built that, and give tips on like I feel like we learn like, oh, okay, we could, that's a good takeaway. Like, just sitting here being like, yeah, that's true. Or like, you know, it's easy to get in your head about this too, when like one episode does really well and then one doesn't do as well, and you're just like, ugh, or like look back on that break we took and are like, God, that really like fucked us, like whatever. But that comes back to like, you get in what you put out, or what you get out what you put in.
Yes.
That was like a dyslexia moment in my mind. But I think like this is all to say, like, it's not just as easy as it looks online, and there is a lot of work that we've put into it, and I feel like a lot more that like we will be putting into it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you're going to see anything that's like astronomically different.
Yeah, no.
I think more so like getting to know us outside of just like a microphone is a big thing, and then also like bringing in guests that help us push the needle with our own business, with their business, with learnings, education, like all of these people out there are building something amazing, and that's not easy to do, similar to this podcast.
And every single person that we've had on has been an excellent like support on the back end for us.
Yeah.
Like and again, it's like, how do you get these people to come, and how do you, like, I'd say, I mean, Jordan knows
email.
Yeah, cold call. No, Jordan knows a lot of people just because she's lived here and has been in this community for a longer amount of time than I have. But like, I always say like, shoot or shoot. Right.
Yeah.
So like, and that's just what it is. For the most part, everybody that we've reached out to has been receptive and has wanted to do it. And then we've had people reach out, and then they say yes, and we never hear from them again, and like whatever. But like, again, we want to hone in on like consistency all the time, but at the same time, like, shoot or shoot. And that's kind of, you know, when they say things like, if you wait until you're ready to start to do something, it'll never happen. It's like, it's so true. It's so true. And that's not the thing that people who are starting businesses or brands or whatever want to hear. Like, it's like, ugh, like, I'm so sick of that notion.
I think too, people think you've got to have this perfect blueprint, and it's like, there's never, unless you're a copy paste of another business, there's no perfect blueprint, and you've got to hit those hurdles to be like, okay, we've learned that. Okay, like the light, we got to turn the light on, because like there's been times where like, we forgot the fucking lights, you know. And it's like, there's no one that's going to do it except you. There's no one holding your hand, and so that is really, you shoot your shots, you put your shit together, and you literally press play and start going.
And you mess up, 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 and like, that's the only way.
And you learn.
Like, that is the only way something becomes great, is if you just keep fucking it up.
Yeah. No. And then you're like, wait, I've got this now. Like, I feel like we're at a point right now where I'm like, okay, we've got this. But like, even to this point, like, we both were like, I don't want to hold a microphone anymore. And here we are holding a microphone.
Here we are holding the microphones because we tried not doing it, and for the space that we're in, it's not going to work. So now it's like on to the next box to check off of what do we tweak to make this production.
I'd really be curious to know, anybody listening, whether it relates to like starting a podcast or starting a business, like if there are any tips that you have, or also any questions that people who are listening have that are like, I'm thinking about this, or I'm scared, or I've got a full-time job and I'm not ready to let go of it, to put all my eggs in this basket. You know, that's a thing too, is like, we both are still working while doing this. And so it's, you know, I'd be curious, like, if people do have questions, not that we're the end all be all or have all the answers, because we don't, but we'd also be happy to dive deeper into sharing how we balance that. Like, I do think maybe that's a good next episode, how we balance having full-time jobs, teaching, and which I will say I don't have the answer.
Yeah, we don't have advice.
I actually can't tell you how I do it.
Yeah, no, it's not. There's not a lot of. I read something today that was like balance or what it was. It was like consistency begins when balance is
Gone.
something. Yeah, like I don't know. There's some, and I was like, that's a good line. No, I can't even fucking remember what it is. But yeah, no, I don't know. It's just. It's not as it seems, I guess.
I will say
like
consistency is probably the best thing. Like being consistent with recording the podcast, that consistent like output of content, podcast episodes, all of that stuff is, I think, like, and I think you said this last week too, like consistently doing things, you're going to feel better, whatever.
Yeah.
Versus like, if you've got a balanced life, power to you. I've got balance in some ways, but in a lot of ways,
I know.
I'm wibbling and wobbling.
I know. And I think, I guess, like, is accepting that fact that, like, you can only have a degree of balance, like, is accepting that sometimes it's just going to be out of whack and, like, you'll have to work through that. Like, is that the key to having, like, balance? Like, I don't.
What
again,
a profound
like,
question.
Yeah. As Aristotle once said, you do what you want when you pop in. But, like, I don't know. It's, again, like, I don't, and I think that's where, some of the hate comes from sometimes. It's like, people are like, who the fuck are these two people to be giving us advice about anything? And, like, I'm genuinely not. Like, I'm just talking.
We're just two girls with a microphone. Let's be real.
Like,
who just talk.
We just talk, and I don't know. Like, I think that I've gotten enough feedback that people relate and want us to keep keeping on. So, like,
agreed. That's what keeps me going.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a good time. We have a lot of laughs.
Yeah, exactly.
And whatever. But, like, that was.
And a lot of tears.
And a lot of tears. So, yeah, a lot of tears. But that was, I think that was, like, the main. We just were trying to do a little bit of planning before we, like, hopped on to record this episode, and I, like, literally cut Jordan off. And I was like, should we just fucking talk about this? Should we just, like, show people that this is not, like, necessarily a perfectly well-oiled machine, and this is, this is how two people who are trying to create a brand who have never, I certainly haven't, Jordan has her own personal brand, but, like, create something that's worth what you set the expectation for and, like, want people to get from it, and whatever else, like, it's not clean cut and dry.
It's not easy.
Is it helpful to people to hear that? Like, is it helpful to be like, I'm fucking not doing or thriving the way that I thought I was gonna be? Like, I don't know. I don't have the answers for anything, but
we're fine.
But yeah, but it is. But it's fine. It really is. So that was where this little brain dump moment came from. Was us trying to figure out how we were going to structure our next coming.
Just be real, really.
Yeah. That's our real and relatable.
Real, relatable, fine. the 2 R's and an F.
The RRF, yeah.
Well,
but anyways, that's
what's coming up with you this week? You're going to another day
Oh
of
my God,
North
I'm going
Coast.
to another day. Yeah, I got to do that. And then nothing. I think tomorrow is going to be a chores day.
Nice.
A reset. A Sunday reset on a Monday.
On a Monday.
And then, yeah, chill week. Oh, I got something this week. I'll tell you about it off camera, though.
Okay.
I can't talk about it here.
This weekend, I'm going to the Burbs to spend time with my fam. And I think I also have the next 2 weekends, I have absolutely nothing. And I'm so happy about it. I'm keeping it that way before I leave and go to a wedding. So I'm like, this is...
When are you leaving for a wedding?
September 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, that weekend.
The next weekend, I'm at a wedding.
Okay. Great. See, now we've got to figure out when we're going to record.
Perfect.
That's real life. That's real podcast life.
Yeah. We should share a calendar.
Yeah. Every time I had something, I'm like, Taylor.
Me, you, Thomas, and Darius should share a calendar.
All four.
We'll just loop everybody in.
We're basically a quadruple now.
Yeah, as it is. But all right, well, good for us.
Happy day. There's a song.
I think you're getting better.
Oh my, thank you.
It's not great by any means, but it's
because
better.
I listened to Oasis, so I was like, maybe.
Oh,
That's how he sounds.
Yeah.
Should I keep that in?
Right. Yeah. Whatever at this point. All right.
Oh.
Well, thanks for listening to us talk about how we don't have our shit together yet again. Another
But
day.
it's here, and we're here, and we leave you with what we said this entire episode. You might not have your shit together. Shit may feel crazy. You may feel all over the place, but we're here to tell you that, girl,
Everything's fine. And drop us your tips,
Please.
tricks, hot takes,
Questions.
how you've gotten your brand off the ground, how you've struggled, tips, that kind
Yeah.
of shit. We'd love to hear it.